Hello, everyone that may or may not be watching this video because I am not going to decide if I'm going to put this video out until later, much later. So this is I don't know, prequel video that if you're watching it, obviously it's live and I'm recording this on the 18th of March, 2025. So this is about Operation Banana Cream Pie. I've been planning this for so very long. I'm having a hard time pulling the plug on it and just making it happen. I've been doing a lot of work on it. I'm mostly doing it by myself with a little guidance from a few people here and there who helped me with some technical things that I feel like I need some help with. Um, I think I might be overthinking it, whereas I'm trying to be careful that everything that I do is thought through. It's it's um it's wild, right? So like earlier this week, I realized I cannot, the medium wants me to call to book a recording, wants me to call to book the appointment. I can't just use my phone and call her up. It's the wrong area code. And I don't want anything traceable back to me. So I had to have somebody help me get a burner phone number. And that's done. I got it. I've tested it. Everything works. So, I mean, those kinds of things you're not even thinking about how to make sure how do you pay for it whenever it's going to be so expensive and you don't want their credit card to come back to you. And, people who might want to do something like this kind of thing in the future, please let me know and let's talk about it beforehand because there's a lot of little fiddly things that most people don't realize that you have to take into account. All right, so as this is a prequel and I'm not sure if I'm going to release this or not. Um so this is the first thing I've done since the death of Mark Edward. So while all the stings that have been done and planned by me. He and other people have done a lot of help on the stings. In fact, they've done a lot of tedious work of creating social media, as well as, of course, the people who have attended these stings. Lots of help from people. But this is the first one I've done without being able to run it past him. Now, we had talked about doing something very similar to this. We did more than talking about it. We planned another one out, but then the pandemic hit and the method we were going to use, it didn't fall through, but it's similar but different in ways that I don't really want to go and explain because I hope to be able to do it in the future. But so I mean the thought process has been the same. It's just this is going to be done not in person, let's just say. So I plan and I'm going to be executing this and I just need to just do this. So I thought I'd make a little video with my thoughts in it, whether it's released or not. At least it's out there and done beforehand. So this is Operation Banana Cream Pie, and I made some notes. I'm a kind of person who writes notes with pencils and on paper. It helps me to think through. I'm like Tyler Henry and scrabbling, scribbling along in a notebook. No, I'm not like Tyler Henry. Okay, so what is the goal? All right, so you have to have a goal when you're doing a sting. The goal in this case is to expose this particular medium, and it didn't have to be this particular medium. It is a medium that I know is hot reading. I could substitute another person in this place if something were to happen. I just have to find another medium that is in this kind of situation that hot reads. So the goal is to expose the goal is to expose this particular medium as a hot reader beyond doubt, and to do so in a community outside the skeptic community. Okay, so to break that down a little bit, um, I could release an article. I've already got several videos showing her hot reading that I could release. They're just sitting there waiting to hit unlisted to public. And I can't do that until I'm all done because obviously she would know somebody was on her. But how do you do it without a benefit of doubt? Okay, so let's think about this from the perspective of somebody who is believing this, who really wants to believe, that is willing to suspend their normal critical thinking facilities to faculties to see this from the perspective of she is hot reading these people. So so the videos that you haven't seen because I haven't released them yet, but I can talk about them because if you're watching this, then they're out as well now. So this medium in particular, I know read a obituary for somebody who had died and repeated the word Dorothy and said, I'm getting a Dorothy, like the Wizard of Oz. That always means Dorothy. And in the obituary, Dorothy is mentioned 3 times. It's 3 different people in this woman's life: Dorothea, Dorothy, and a Dorothea. And they're like different family members. So they're all mentioned in the obituary. 2 are dead and 1 is alive. And so I know she got that from reading an obituary because I was able to Google the woman's name and came right up with the obituary. And the name on the Zoom screen right there in the lower left-hand corner was what I just Googled, and I got to this obituary in seconds. So when the medium is repeating this, I'm saying to myself, well, she's just reading the obituary, right? But to somebody who wants to believe this and is trying to make excuses for this medium, they're going to say, well, Dorothy is a name that is prominent in this person's life. And they would see it as evidence of life after death. They would say, see, therefore, this is true because Dorothy is a name of her family and friends and so on. Or, she's somebody who would come through, and that name makes sense. So I and people who are not invested in this reading would see it differently than somebody who's a believer. Okay. So the only way to really do this is to plant evidence that is fake. Plant it in a way that it looks real, and plant it in a way that even the people who are attending the reading probably don't know the details of it. So it's double blinded. So, I mean, I could put out videos showing this woman hot reading. And after a few videos and seeing how it's done, you would think that people would say, well, this one time, she might have been really talking to the dead. The second time, that's getting a little more suspicious. The third time, this is starting to look like a trend. This is what she does, and she really is hot reading. But getting people to watch those kinds of things, that you're unlikely to change their minds. And I'm not really trying to change the mind of the family that is getting readings from her. I don't think that's likely to happen. I doubt they would even listen to what I have to say. They'd call me a hater, jealous, whatever. And I don't think that I don't think it will have a lot of impact if I just release videos and expose her in that way. All right. So I have some side goals. Oh, about releasing it beyond the skeptic community. Absolutely. When we did the New York Times article for Operation Pizza Roll and Operation Peach Pit with Matt Fraser and Thomas John, it was in the New York Times Magazine. That was massive. I mean, just massive. And so that got outside of our choir, and that's what I need to be doing, is doing more of that. So this time I already have somebody lined up who's excited to work with us, and it is going to be a podcast, and you're probably already know who it is and what's going on with that, because this has already been released, right? Okay, I have some side goals, and I think it's a good idea to clear this up. So one of the side goals is to, and I wrote this down because I hope to be able to quote this often to people who interview or write about Operation Banana Cream Pie, is to make Helping Parents Heal, which is HPH, which is the organization that is sponsoring her as really giving her platforming. I mean, the medium's already got a platform in her own, but Helping Parents Heal is escalating that. I want to make them rethink their ability to keep their vulnerable clients from being exploited. So they had at one time, back when I just latched onto Thomas John, did a sting, didn't know who he was, and we caught him hot reading, and that became the New York Times, part of the New York Times article. They were also endorsing Thomas John. And I don't know if it was the work I did or the work I did and other things that have been happening with Thomas John. And you could read all about that on, well, many articles I've written about him. I'm not sure what it was that finally made them break their ties with him, but from what I understand, they have broken their ties with him. So he isn't appearing anymore, and I've been told by people that he's no longer a part of their organization. Whether people still go to him who've had readings in the past or I don't know, but he's not on the website anymore, and I'm told he isn't back in their group. But I want them to understand that the people who they represent in their community are in a vulnerable position. They are all parents whose children have died. And they believe in mediumship and messages after life, after death. So because they readily believe, based on their very, very loose definition of what evidence is, I mean, they see a penny on the ground and they think that's evidence of mediumship from their loved one. They hear a bird outside the window, they think that's evidence of communication with their child. I mean, this is the basics, right? So there's zero skepticism in this. These people are not necessarily stupid or anything of the sort. They may have critical thinking skills normally, but at this moment, when they're in grief and they're so vulnerable, and their entire community, because they're in this community of people, all support this. They all are like, yes, that's true. And then the membership, the board members are also just like, oh yeah, that bird, that's it. I know it's real. Oh, you heard some music. All of that. They're all the people in their little community, very tight-knit community who've gone through this with them, are endorsing the same thing. So there's nobody stepping up and saying, hey, wait a minute, how do you know that bird is not just a bird, or that coin you found, that penny was just a penny? It doesn't mean anything. It's just a penny. There's nobody doing that as far as we know. I mean, if they are, we just don't see it very much, and people become more and more isolated. And when you're already in grief and you're already suffering, isolating yourself further, I don't know if that's a really good thing, but that's what's happening. So I want this group to understand that they represent a vulnerable population of people who are in grief, who believe this is possible. And by not, I shouldn't even say checking these people out, because of course they think they've checked these people out, and they think, of course, there's no way these people would be faking it, or it just wouldn't even occur to them. I don't think there's a lot of trust in this world. And I've heard from people who say, who would do this to vulnerable parents? I mean, what kind of human being would do that? Nobody I would know and associate with would do that. So of course they're not doing that. These are good, trusting people. So see what I'm saying? It's I can't imagine Helping Parents Heal actually saying, oh well, let's run these mediums by somebody. But I think they need to understand their endorsement of the mediums is helping their clientele to be preyed upon. And I'm not talking about PRAY, I'm talking about PREY. Okay. So I want them to understand that they're vulnerable and that they are causing these people to be to be exploited by these people. I also want the mediums, like the one we're going to target, to realize that they are vulnerable. And Thomas John found that out. And so is Matt Fraser and so on. I mean, immediately, as soon as the first article comes out, they block me on everything, every social media they can find. That's letting me know that they feel vulnerable because they think that I'm going to be able to reach out and post on their social media or something. It's not like I can't see their social media, because obviously I can, and I'm not alone in this. So I don't get it, but they do that. The first thing they do is they block me because they know they're vulnerable, because they know they're not real. Come on. So, and we also kind of need a win. It's been 2018 was when the New York Times article came out, and I really need to let people know that we're still on this and we're still doing this. So it is our community and the skeptic community does need to have these kinds of things to show that we're still out there and still doing things. So what this Operation Banana Cream Pie is not about, it is not to explicitly show harm. It is to show that this medium is hot reading her clients and was unable to see the real dead family members and know that we are not related, and that the sting was put on by skeptics with money from the James Randi Educational Foundation and James Randi's endorsement and the skeptical community. So that is the goal, is to show that this person is hot reading. I do not plan on going into depth about what harm this medium specifically is doing, or mediums in general. I mean, I might on my own channel, but not this sting. I'm going to leave that to people who come later and find out what happened and write about it, or blog, post about it, or do videos or interviews, or whatever they want to do, and say, so let's think about what the harm is to these people. Let them say it. I'm just testing to see if this specific medium will take the bait, or to show that she's really a medium and read the dead people that really do, if you believe in mediumship, exist around us. Okay. So I wrote a little synopsis. So the harm is inferred. It's inferred, but I'm not going to go into the harm with the sting. That's not the point of this sting. So Operation Banana Cream Pie, a synopsis. Okay, here's my synopsis. If given faked bait put out on social media during a group online reading with people pretending to be siblings, here's the options. Number one, will the medium see through the sting? You just refuse to do this thing. They say that it seems suspicious. They figure something out, like maybe somebody gives away something, or maybe they watch my channel and they hear my voice and they say, this is Susan Gerbic. I know it's Susan Gerbic, or something of the sort. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, will the medium take the bait? Will they see the faked social media that I'm going to put out, and take that bait and just go in it like Thomas John did, and just make up a story and say how whatever it is they see on social media is real. And my team, all of my sitters, are just going to agree to everything. That's the plan. All right. Number three, will the medium not hot read us, but give us all readings using cold reading? Okay, that's what most people do, is they use cold reading. It's a 2-hour session with 6 different people. I fully expect she is going to cold read. In fact, we're going to leave tells on people so that they get a cold reading. She's got to have something to read, because I'm not going to do like we did with Operation Peach Pit, or Pizza Roll creating fake Facebook pages for all the people who are going to be attending. That's just too much work. And so I think that we can do this with one person having the hot reading on their social media, and everybody else has got cold reading, and they're just going to agree to it anyway. So I think that's going to make the most sense. So she's going to have to cold read us, because what else are we going to do? I mean, what is she going to say? But we're going to have, like I said, we're going to have fake tells in the background or on the human being to make it something so she can talk about it. All right. Or number 4, will the medium see through us and communicate with our real dead loved ones? So if she sees through us and says, something's wrong with you people, I have a feeling that you no, somebody's telling me your dad, and names my dad, and says, you're Susan. Why are you here doing this? And then reads me like as if I have real dead loved ones that are talking to her. I would first probably expect that somehow or other they caught us in it somehow. I can't imagine how everything is going to be locked down, and it's a very tight community of skeptics that are going to be involved in this. I don't know how that would possibly happen, but if she did, I would be thrilled. That would mean she may have powers to speak to the dead. That would be flippin' awesome, and we would have to revisit that, maybe have her tested even further. I wouldn't be involved, and so on. So of those 4 scenarios, I'm expecting number 2, that she's going to take the bait and then cold read everybody else. That's what I suspect. If she does see through us, like in scenario number 1, will she see through the sting? Then we'll have to figure out why I failed with the preparation for this, and maybe I don't release everything because I need to figure out what I did wrong, and maybe revamp it to move on to another sting with a different medium. Likewise, if that happens, that I'm planning and still releasing the videos of her hot reading that I've already created. So all of those will be a success except for number 1. And even number 1 would be a success in helping us refine our method of how to go about putting together a sting, a double-blinded sting like what we're doing. So we'll learn from that as well. Even though it won't be a huge success, it might be a delayed success. All right. So I have a few tasks. The first one was to get a phone number that does not reflect back to me. I've now figured out the money. I have the money. I've had the money for a long time, and I received approval from my nonprofit, the people who oversee my board, to spend the money, and that's not a problem at all. But how do you get it to the medium without it being traceable back to Susan Gerbic, which is what happened in Operation Pizza Roll with Thomas John. And you can read all about that later if you want. So I have my sitters. Everybody's committed. I have their schedule. I'm double blinding this in another way than which you would think, but I am having all my sitters give us a document that has, it's like a sealed envelope kind of thing, of all the information that they think they would get if there was a real medium that was in contact with their dead persons. Because what we don't want to have is ambiguous hits, like somebody saying, oh, a Charlie came through and it's the guy who used to mow our lawn, or it's can't even think of the name, Francis, who used to be our second grade kindergarten or second grade teacher substitute for a couple months. We don't want to have something that vague. We want to see people come through who are the loved ones we would expect to come through. We don't want to make the situation fit the reading. We want to have it on record. And so we're going to have this all dated and something we can pull up easy. That if the medium really was contacting dead people, we want to know that it's the dead people that would obviously be around us, our real loved ones who we loved and they loved us. Not, like I said, just the paper boy who used to deliver papers, and no, not stuff like that. I'm sure those people are well loved. The guy who mowed the lawn, and your kindergarten teacher or your second grade teacher who was only there for a couple of months, and the paper boy, I'm sure they're well loved and they loved other people and people loved them back, but I doubt they would come through in a reading of ours unless we really reached for it and tried to make it fit. So I want to have that in date. So I think I'm ready to go. I really feel like I'm thought this out. It's prepared. I have to go look at the bait one more time to make sure that I have all the names correct and so that I can adjust it if I need to, because now I have all my sitters. I've talked to all the sitters. They're ready and committed. They understand the rules. They understand we're going to lie. They're going to understand that they're going to play a part. They're going to be doing a lot of improvising. They understand that we're going to spend money and give the money to the person. They understand they're going to stay in character the whole time. They've got it. They understand that I need to make sure that they understood that ahead of time, because we've had people in the past that have criticized some of the work we've done because they don't think you should give money to mediums. They think that by doing things like this, possibly we could have other people feel like it's more likely to believe that this person is real. That's not going to happen in this case because it's only the medium and a very close group of people. So there will be nobody in the group that is not part of our group. So there's nobody else out there, unless, of course, the psychic tells stories to people afterwards, like how she was. So all these people came through, and but then I can't get over that. Also, some people have problems with lying. They say you shouldn't be lying to a medium. I've had people straight up to my, say to the work I've done, well, you lied. So therefore, of course, the psychic can't deal with a person who's lying or a person who's skeptical. It's like, really? They seem to take my money. And when we were there with them, they didn't notice anything. And they clearly said they contacted my dead family members that don't exist. So explain to me how the medium is perfectly sure that they're like sure as heck that they're in contact with my dead family members. How can they be in contact with my dead family members if it doesn't work whenever somebody's lying or is being skeptical? No, it doesn't work at all. All right. Okay. I wish there was a heaven. I wish there was an afterlife. I know Mark's not watching me. I'm just going to have to just do what I've always done and not running it past him. I have great friends and supporters and donors, some of them all together the same: donors, friends, and sponsors and helpers. I need to stop thinking this over and just get this done. So if you're watching this, I guess we got it done. And it must be successful to some extent. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't bother releasing the video. No, I would release this video. I think I would. Even just talking this through to myself, I feel better. I feel like I'm thinking it through better. Anyway, I hope this was instructive. Thanks all.